everybody in the room has had an opportunity or has had a project where it did not meet the expectations because the file was not properly set up with the substrate that it was being printed on. So as we go a little bit further into the presentation, you know, and I'm sure you guys already know how to set up a file based on what type of paper or substrate that it's going to be going on by allowing the amount of ink that you want the file to be in its end result. And also, too, as Francis was stating about the range, and I want to touch a little bit on luminosity also, which I'll let you move a little bit further down the road. That also has a very big impact on how the photograph or image is going to reproduce itself. So I hope I'm not jumping too far ahead.
No, actually, if you don't mind, talk a little bit about the, I know you mentioned that earlier, but I want you to link it,
Yes.
the density range of paper, for instance, to the density range of,
Actually, I'll pass this around. This is old, and it's kind of older, but anyway, it explains basically as photographer to printer relationship as far as density is done. What Francis was saying earlier, and I think I had mentioned too, is that, you know, when we are in the CT or continuous tone, we're dealing in density. And as far as capturing that amount of information, as it comes to us, we are only able to capture half of the density range of a continuous tone. And then once we apply the proper dot percentage in a given density area, then we output that, and then we print that. And the maximum density that we can achieve in the printing process is in the black ink, which runs a density of 1.90 to 2.00. And the magenta and cyan, the highest density that we can run, the cyan would be 145 to 155 density area. And then the magenta, it would be 155 to 165. So in relationship to these numbers that I'm throwing out at you guys, if we're taking an image that has a total dynamic range of 4 or 3.7, and we're only able to capture 1.5 to 1.7 in the printing, there's a whole lot of information that's being lost. And a lot of times the expectation level of a client is like, why can't you match what's on my screen? Or why can't you match this particular transparency or what have you? Because inevitably we can't. We're going to try to compress as much information in that given density area to try to represent the 5 tonal areas in which we were talking about earlier, which would be highlight, quarter tone, mid-tone, and 3/4 tone, and shadow. So from 4 to 1.5, we have to compress all that information and make sure that we're able to achieve the proper tonal range of a CT or continuous tone image on a printed sheet using dot. If you want to carry on with that. Does everybody understand what I was just saying? Am I mumble jumbling or?
no, well, let me see. So if we take, what we're talking about is this. If you were to take a photograph, we can use a device called the densitometer and measure the darkest point of that image and measure the brightest point of that image. When I subtract the brightest point and the darkest point, what I get is my density range. This is going to be the range of tones that I'll be able to achieve by subtracting my highest, my darkest from lightest from the darkest. I get my range of tones that you can achieve. That range in the printing process, in nature, that's, you can't even put a number on it. It can go from the brightest of bright to the darkest of dark, because it's just light, it's nature, and it will present that to you. So if you ask me to replicate exactly that, I want you to understand that it cannot be done, because by the time you use your best camera to capture it, it has its own range. It's going to fall short. So you need to be a good photographer with the proper lighting and the right knowledge to set your camera to get the best you can out of it. Okay? When you get the best you can out of it, and you bring it, and we use that densimeter to measure, the range of that will be at most maybe a 4. If it's a transparency, probably a 4. If it's a regular continuous tone photograph developed from the store or whatever, motor photo, 1 hour photo, whatever it is, it may be even shorter,
Like a 2.
like a 2.
2.0, 4.0. We're talking density now. We're talking density.
Okay.
We're talking
Density.
range. We're talking
So-
range.
Yeah, so now, if you attempt to do this in print, we're gonna be even shorter. Okay,
1.7.
1.6, 1.7.
So what?
After I
explain
put black ink on paper,
information
and I
source.
measure the darkest point, the ink and the paper reaction says, the best I can do is about 1.6. Irrespective of how dark the density of the image, the original image was. Irrespective of that, the best I can do for you is a 1.6. So we have a problem. Or maybe not a problem, it's just the innate nature of the business. And understanding that will help you not butt heads or whatever fight the system. Because you know that this is where it can go. Yes, my original looks like this, but I'm going to use a printing process. It's a process that will involve inks, that will involve paper, and that process will always fall short. Not because of the skill level, not because of anything else. It's just that the process itself is going to fall short. Okay, and trying to squeeze your image into that shorter range of tones that you can have. When the picture has this range, and I'm going to try to do it within a range that goes from here to there, you're fighting the elements right at the gate. Okay, so that's something that we need to understand in our trade. So before we look at the color, I wanted to make sure that I sum that area up. So shape defines an object. Shape is what defines an object. It tells us what it is. And if I put an object out there, if it's an apple and it doesn't have color issue, all of us we know that's an apple, or that's an orange, right? But there's something missing. Color will be missing. I may not be able to tell if it's what type of orange. I may be able to tell from color if it's a certain type of orange, or is it a ripe? The apple ripe? Is it red? Is it green? Right? Just from seeing the shape, I may not be able to give the full description, but at least I'm able to get most of the information necessary to tell you what that is. So shape plays a crucial role.
And actually, when you guys get a chance, you can, not at this moment, but go back and forth to the black and white to the color. And then you can, you get an idea with the black and white, but with the color, you know that it's a green apple, red, whatever, blue sky, red apple, green grass. So you know the color's doing the work for you. But looking at the black and white, you have to interpolate what you think those colors are. So it's a good exercise to look at both of them, simultaneously, and then you can see what he's talking about as far as the shape.
There's some things that you may be able to tell, and the others, that you may not be. If you have an object that's always in a certain color, it's always in that color, right? So you'll be able to tell. If it's green grass and it's gray, maybe if I tell you what season it is, you'll have an idea. It must be green, even though you're seeing gray, so you can make some of those up. Color is important, but shape defines the object itself. Let me set up a scenario here. So you are about to go to an event. You've been preparing for this for a long time. As a matter of fact, you took your clothes in and ironed, and it's all straightened up, and you have it hung up and ready to go. A couple of hours before, you wanted to check things out. Maybe just putting the shirt out or whatever, and you pick it up and you see a tear. Wow, laundry folks tore it up, and it got torn while it was in the laundry, and it didn't catch on to it. And it's have just a few short, hours or so before, this event. Well, with today's technology, you could get on your computer and say, hey, let me see the couple stores, within the vicinity, let me check and see who, has something I can buy. And you're looking for the same color because, hey, you took all the time to make sure everything matches, right? So you're looking for something that will match. Maybe something blue. So you go online, you go to store ad. You do a search, and you see shirts that, look at the shape, and you kind of like what you see. Unfortunately, shortly after that, something happens, your computer monitor just goes gray. So you can continue surfing, but you can't see color. You're looking for something blue. Luckily, the stores are smart. They describe the product. It's blue, it's green, it's this, it's that. And as you go through, you're looking at these, going online and looking at the products, and they're being described to you. You see 5 different blue shirts on there. Which one will you buy? You're looking at the real monitor. How do I know which one will fit my clothing? Which store do I go to? After I've looked at 4 or 5 different stores and they all have 4 or 5 blue shirts. At very limited time. If I travel this way and their blue doesn't fit what I'm looking for, boy, am I in trouble. What am I going to do, right? So color has its role. Because you can't trust the blue that you're talking about. How do I know what blue? I don't know what blue you're talking about. Our eyes will act as a monitor. We see something and we have our own description. We all don't see color the same way. Our color DNA is different for each and every one of us. We see things quite different. We may agree on the fact that this is blue, but what kind of blue? And that debate will go on forever. That's why you want to be there. That's why, maybe if you could see the color on your monitor, or if you could just go there and see if this really matches what it is that I'm seeing. Forget what they describe it to me. I just want to see it. Because when I see it, I'll see it. If I can't describe it well for you to see it, I'll say, well, let me come over there. When it's right, I'll know. Because I want to sense it. I want my own senses to tell me that this is the color that I'm looking for. Okay? So color, we'll talk about tone and the role it plays, but color does play its role too. A little bit about background. As we know, color is the portion of the electromagnetic spectrum that can be seen by the human eye.
What's that mean, Francis?
Well, the spectrum has everything from ultraviolet rays to infrared, rays that we can't see. They're used for different, purposes. Some of them in medical equipment and things like that. We can see between 400 nanometers to 700 nanometers. That's the range that we can see, human eye, can see. But there's a portion of the spectrum that we cannot see. It's not visible, to us. The colors will go. The range that we see